2.0's fuel cell. As you get ready, we're going to take that apart and basically put it back together so that get ready to run here soon. Fuel cap assembly that came out of there. This part was actually in the fuel tank. As you can see, the little locks that normally would hold that in place, but crazy the heat that was in that fire. All right, guys, coming to you from inside the Haas Machine this week. Obviously, it's still not fixed. That's why I'm able to sit inside it. There's no parts inside there. But just want to show you the magnitude and the size of the machine. I mean, this is the trunnion that basically with the fixturing should be able to mount a block to that. There you got your spindle. And basically your travel. So a lot of travel angle with this machine, a lot of ability to hopefully make parts someday. But long story short, we're another week. Today's Tuesday. The last time I heard anything, and I'm not sitting here trying to be a whiner or poor me or anything like that. So I mean, some people, like there's one comment said, whatever, rich people problems. Well, I mean, the idea is that this is a business and it is to make money. And when you just have a big paperweight like this, then it's not making any money. It just costs the money. So, update from a couple weeks ago is Haas did reach out, like I said, vice president, and they were going to give me some updates. They were working on a fix. The last that I heard was last Monday. They said things were progressing. They would give me an update. I actually think I was supposed to get daily updates, but I mean that was last Monday. They basically said that well, I mean I think that's what I told you last week, that they suspended the payments for the 3 months. In addition to that, they were giving me, they said they'll give me some coupons towards future purchases, and then a credit or the ability to get some stuff like some fixtures and stuff like that off of for the machine. So last Thursday. They reached out and said they wanted to schedule a meeting, a call or whatever with me. Sorry for that. They wanted to schedule a call with me to be able to talk about where they're at with everything, where they're at with the solution. I was pretty busy Thursday working on some stuff, but then Friday I got back to them and said, hey, we could set up for early this week, because Jim, my guy, had heard that that they were working on things, but they didn't have a real solid solution, that there's possibly a sensor that they want to add that will be temporary to help with it. And I guess to talk about the problem more, I'm not the expert on this, but I'll tell you that like it's thermal compensation. So it affects all the axes of the machine. So I know that a couple people said, oh, well, you could use it as a 3-axis. Well, no, because it's affecting everything with the machine. So anytime the temperature is calculated in, it miscalculates things, and that's what causes the problem with it. And I'm not sure why we found and it wasn't found before we received the machine. Obviously, I mean, that's a Haas question there, but that's the issue. And I know it's all algorithms, and I know it's all math that is way beyond my comprehension or ability to do. So that's the part that's going on. It does affect all the axes. They've actually swapped out the ball screw on this to try and make up for that. But it didn't solve the problem. like I said, I mean, it's been back in their hands and trying to figure that out. So Thursday they said, Friday I said early this week, well, we're Tuesday, we're end of the day Tuesday, it's actually Tuesday night, and I don't know, I mean, maybe they meant midweek, but early in the week I would think maybe Friday they would have got back with me and scheduled something for yesterday or today, or at least yesterday got back with me for something for yesterday or today. But either way, I mean, tomorrow we roll into Wednesday. I mean, we'll see where we're at with it. I know a lot of you guys are saying that whatever, you're way more patient, and I mean a multitude of things, but like with any of this, like, I mean, getting hot-headed, getting like I guess road rage, I guess, would be a good thing. Like, I mean, or not a good thing, would be a prime example that people let their emotions get the best of them, and that's how road rage incidents end up happening. So obviously don't want that type of instance to happen with this. I just want to get to a solution with it, that this machine is usable, that we can make blocks in here, or that the machine goes away and I have to come up with another solution. So I am hoping that the daily updates that they said I was going to get and I'm not getting is because everybody's working on a solution so that this will work, and that's all I have to go on with that, is to think like that, and know that, I mean, in the day, I mean, they are a big company, a reputable company. I would think that they would take care of a situation like this so that we can get to making parts and making videos about the parts that are coming out of here, and not the videos of me sitting in here talking to you. So that's where we're at with the machine right now. I know that that's long-winded. I know that some of you don't want to hear anything about it, don't care anything about it. I can appreciate that. There's enough people to ask about it that I just want to give my updates on it and where we're at with it on a week in and week out basis. So that's where we're at, but now on to better stuff with it. So I will give you this week, talk about, oh geez, I mean, let's go into multitudes of things. So let's get out of this machine and let's stop talking about that. Alex Taylor, Dennis Taylor, they are doing, everybody's been asking, or a lot of people have been asking about an update on the Nomad. So they shot a video this week. That'll be in here, a couple-minute update on the stuff there with the Nomad. You have to know with the Nomad that they had their 55 that they were working on to get that ready for Rocky Mountain Race Week. They also now are getting a Challenger ready for Roadkill Nights coming up in a couple weeks. So the progress on the Nomad, my Nomad, has been slow, but that, I mean, it's fine. So I'm not in a horrible rush with it. I was hoping to have it debut for SEMA. I don't know that that's going to be in the cards. I mean, it may be pushed back. So, but I'm not going to rush the project. I want it to be exactly the way that I want it to be. So I'm going to cover that. Also, we got the batteries and the charger and the alternator out for 2.0. I want to talk to you about batteries. I want to talk to you about charging systems with that. Give you an update that with whatever, the sick day coming up in a couple weeks, the night before Roadkill, and your talk with Tom and the stuff that you're looking for. One thing I do want to talk about right now, though, is Sick the Mag and where we're at with Sick the Mag. The first issue is going to print here pretty soon. I'm telling you that if you are not a subscriber to it and you want the stuff, and I know that I kind of keep talking about it, but let me just tell you that there are editorials in there from, and I don't even know if I should be telling you, but there are editorials in there, columns in there from Brian Lones, David Freiberger, Mike Finnegan, Dave Schroeder, first winner of Drag Week ever, 2007 Drag Week. He's the guy that kind of started the whole Drag Week tradition because he's the first winner. I'm sure that I'll have something in there. Luke's got something in there. Luke told me it's over 128 pages. Crazy, 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 but just think if you only buy one issue and then you cancel, then this first issue is going to be pretty epic. We already have over 1,200 subscribers to it. Posters went out for the first 1,000 subscribers, like crazy. And then the second issue is going to cover Roadkill Nights, Drag Week, and Rocky Mountain Race Week 2.0. If you want an issue that, and like I said, if you only get one issue, get this first issue, because it's going to be pretty epic, and the amount of work that Luke's putting into it to have it ready to go. Mind-boggling. The couple little things that I've seen, super cool. Like, just imagine going through like high-quality photographers' photos and looking at a photo album of some of the coolest, wildest, craziest drag drive cars on the planet. That's what's in here. So either way, let's get on to the other stuff. Thanks for watching, guys.
All right, are you ready for your 2-minute Tom Bailey update here?
2 minutes, Tom.
Starting now, 10:51. Okay.
10:52.
There's a lot's been done.
Wait.
Oh, okay.
7, 8, 9, 10:52. Okay, 10:54.
All right. There's been a lot done since Tom was here last time. Quite a bit. That looks really good.
Yeah, it's nice.
What's up?
Got the rack mounted, so I made these billet rack mounts. Just cut them out of a piece of plate. Our CNC's down, so it almost was handmade, but they clamp around the axle and clamp around the rack. I took the one off of the rack that comes on there. It's made to mount differently, so it literally clamps to the axle. We'll have a set screw to hold it tight. This is the panhard bar for the front axle, so that just keeps it from going left to right, and the geometry all works out well. I made the steel steering arms. They're like 5-inch, and then got the shock mounts in. So it just uses a standard shock. So you can see everything seems to be about right. So it's got 10 degrees of caster, 0 camber. The Ackerman looks good. 4 links on, front end's a done deal. How much time do we have left?
You still need 1 more minute.
1 minute. Do we need 2 minutes?
Yeah, you need 2 minutes.
Come back here, there's actually more. I'm working on the master cylinder right now, but we've got all the Brakeman parts, front and rear. I didn't even talk about that up there. But you can see the Brakeman brakes are on the rear on the Strange floater. So it's kind of cool because you can literally change pads on these wheels. That wheel is what Tom wanted to use, which is so he can keep his cars all the same. So that's the wheel he uses on his 2.0 when he runs a radial. So it's got almost no offset to it. That causes the brake caliper and rotor to be out in the air, which will help cool it, which is a really big plus, but it also makes it really easy to work on. So those are on the back. That's basically just a bolt on. The front, since I made the spindles, I had to modify the Brakeman brackets. So I made an adapter to weld on here, then cut the Brakeman bracket and tigged it all together. So the fronts are spindle mounts, and the Brakeman rotors and calipers are now adapted to Dennis Taylor spindles. So
nice.
There you go, 0 drag.
That looks good. All right, and you were 12 seconds over 2 minutes, so I think we can call it good here. You blew it. All right.
Close enough.
More to come.
So it's track day here at M1 Concourse. Guys out there on the track. I'm not out there today. Obviously, I'm in here. But want to remind you about the Woodward pre-party. The Sick Day 2021 happening August 13th here at M1 Concourse. So $100 donation, Epilepsy Foundation of Michigan. That gets you in. That gets you a tag for the windshield of your car. You also get a t-shirt. You get in here for kind of a pre-Roadkill party. Roadkill, sponsored by Dodge, is happening on Saturday the 14th. So Friday the 13th, registration for Roadkill. The cars are participating. I'm participating. Aiden's participating. Joe Barry's going to be here. Dave Schroeder's going to be here. A lot of people. Brian Goldstone, like a lot of Klein. I mean, tons of people. And that's happening on Saturday. So everybody's going to be hanging out after they register their cars and they get checked in. And they get checked in here at the track. And then with the registration and everything to get set up for Saturday. So then Friday, after that happens, the people that have the stickers on their windshield made the donation to the Epilepsy Foundation of Michigan. They're gonna go out one gate, basically come in the other gate. There is no spectators to that, so the only way you're getting in as a spectator for the event is a tag on your windshield. So bring your sport car, bring your classic car, I mean bring your daily driver, but the only way you're getting in is with a sticker on the windshield. So $100 donation gets you a t-shirt, gets you that sticker, gets you to the Sick Day 2021. All goes to a good cause. Like I said, Epilepsy Foundation of Michigan. We're going to see a lot of the cars are going to be racing the next day on Saturday. Talk to a lot of people. I'll be there with 1.0. Aiden will be there with the ship box. We'll have the ice cream truck there handing out some ice cream. M1 is doing the beverage service, so there will be beer and drinks and some food and everything that you can purchase there as well. It should be a good time. Very limited engagement. There won't be the chaos of the Saturday where everybody that's in the cars is going to be out on the street. You'll be in the stands watching if you're here for that event, which another great thing to do, but there you're going to see us racing. Here you're going to be able to look at the cars a little closer, see what it takes to make these drag and drive type cars for the event. So great cause. That's Friday. So this Friday, real soon, we got to close everything because shirts. We already sold out of the first set of shirts, so we got another order in. But as soon as those are gone, they're gone. Go to links in the description down at the bottom. But Bailey-Racing.com. That $100 donation, like I said, gets you a shirt, gets you a decal for your windshield, gets you in the party with us and hang out on Friday night. Not able to do that, or in addition to doing that, you also want to go to the pizza party Thursday the 12th, Oxford, Michigan, Sick Pizza. Having a pizza party for a donation to the Epilepsy Foundation of Michigan, get a slice of pizza. So another good time. So that's Thursday the 12th, from 6 to 8. We're basically from 6 to 9. We'll be here on Friday. Then obviously Saturday, that's the Roadkill nights. So should be a great weekend. August 12th, 13th, 14th. So hope to see you around. And oh, by the way, Sick the Mag is going to be on site Friday here, doing photos and doing coverage for an upcoming issue, which will be the second issue. First issue will debut in August, so the upcoming issue. So if you ever thought your car was magazine worthy, or anybody thinks their car is magazine worthy, be here, because very good chance that it can make it into the magazine. With only a few hundred cars on display that night, very good chance that you'll see your car in the magazine in a couple months. So thanks guys, let's get on to everything else. So fuel cell out at 2.0, basically what we believe happened is you have the vent right here which goes up inside the cell, as you can see there, and I believe the fire was down here. The fuel had came out of the fuel rails, and it ignited, and then basically the flame, I believe, shot up the vent into the tank, which you can see the vent actually goes all the way up to right here on the front side. And then the vent, through that vent tube, is actually what caught the fuel on fire inside the tank, causing it to explode. And obviously with the expansion and the fuel catching on fire, the methanol that was in there, it pressurized the tank, and when it pressurized the tank, it split the weak point, which would be the seam here, this weld seam all the way along here. Also, it split along here as well. So other than that, like, I mean, there's definitely some bubbles in the tank. It's just amazing. There's really no wreck or anything, but I mean, this is how this tank exploded outwards when it popped, and then everything came apart. Well, obviously, I mean, once the fuel caught on fire, it pressurized, exploded, then all this fuel hit the ground, and that's the part that really ignited, was the remainder of the fuel that was in the tank hitting the ground and exploding. So, or not exploding, catching fire and then burning. There's a front block off cover. We do have a new one of those sitting over here ready to go. So, like I said, a lot of this stuff's the assembly of parts, getting ready to get everything back together. And then, like I showed you earlier, I mean, just think, like, the cap stayed tight in there, except, I mean, eventually it would have pushed up in there, but we still had that cap. I mean, it just basically, that's molten. This is the bottom parts of the cap that actually took that out of the tank through here. It was laying in there, but you can see that those are like the pins, so that when you would normally twist this, which there'd be that other piece on there, when you twist that, these are the little pins that lock in to these couple areas to keep the cap secured on there. So just crazy how that all happened. All right, guys, talk to you about voltage, and I've been using PowerMaster forever. Let me show you this is the alternator out of 2.0. Not sure the amperage, not sure the output. Probably should know, but main thing about it is, if you see that little screw hole right there, PowerMaster makes this. It's an adjustable potentiometer. The potentiometer adjusts how much voltage the alternator puts out. So I can adjust this alternator anywhere between, I don't even know what the range is, but I can either use it for charging 12-volt batteries all the way up to charging 16-volt batteries. So I know that I can take this charger, or this alternator, up to 18 volts. So, and as little as 13.5 volts. Now, I used to, for a while, with the coils are limited. These are the MSDs, so I'm not sure if they have the same limitation, but I ran the Holley coil on plug, and that did not want to see more than 16.5 volts. And because it didn't want to see more than 16.5 volts, that affected when I had a 16-volt battery in there and I needed to charge that at 17.5 volts. So I would have misfires, I'd have issues with it. Well, long story short, figured that out, that was my problem. And what I did then is I went to, at the track, ran a 12-volt battery. At the track, I would turn that potentiometer up on that alternator. I would turn that up to 16.5 volts at the track, and basically just overcharge a 12-volt battery. Well, I've always used excess power. And what I did is, actually, with talking to Brady over there, I actually went to their 14-volt battery a few years back. So I run a 14-volt battery, which makes it 16.5 volts, perfect for charging the battery, and I've had great success with that. Now, we're actually making a change with this because the lithium titanate oxide, no clue. All I know is supposedly this doesn't explode like some of the other stuff. But biggest thing with it is that probably weighs 5 pounds. And 20 amp hour, 3,000 watt battery. So versus this one probably weighs 50 pounds. And that is 2,400 amp battery, 56 amp hour. So what we're actually doing is I'm going to take this out, change this mount, modify this, and I'm going to run 2 of these excess power lithium batteries, because if I've got 10 pounds versus 50 pounds, 40 pounds, whatever that is, either way I'm losing 20 or 30 pounds with it, and I'm going to have twice the amperage. So, and I'll have 40 amp hours, so I mean I'll be a little bit down on amp hours, but 775 cranking amps. I'm not sure what the cranking amp is on this one, but either way, I talked to talked to Brady over there, and this is the ticket. He said I could run one of these. I'm running two just for safekeepings with the whole thing. Plus, they're about half the size of this battery, so that'll give me the ability to do that. But just one of the changes we're making to the car because we have it apart. Well, it's not apart on purpose, but because it's apart and we're redoing some things, just making some changes with some technology and trying to advance. But I can tell you that the voltage, the more voltage going through the coils, the hotter the spark's going to be. So the fact that I've got 16.5 volts running the 14 amp batteries or 14 volt batteries is going to be a hotter spark than if I was running a 12 volt battery and I was only running 14.5 volts. So 2 more volts equals better burn, in my opinion. So that would be my battery talk on the whole thing for right now. So that's one of the changes going on with it. That's an update on 2.0. All right, folks, follow up this week on, well, nope, we're to the Talks with Tom. So a lot of questions about the Indian Burial Ground car and how did it get its name. So that was from last week. I talked about my first drag week 2010 and further the Indian Burial Ground car. I have some pictures of it. I've got a picture I'll show you right now, which is when the picture off the eBay ad of when I bought the car, which as you can see, I mean, it looks good. And which actually the hood from that eBay picture is still, that's the hood that was on the car, the Indian Burial Ground car when I got it. So that's also the color of the car, but as you can see from the picture. But why the Indian Burial Ground car? And other pictures are from 2010. Actually, Rick, the guy that rode with me, that I mean, he's worked with me for years, and they're pictures that his son Randy pulled off the internet and then had printed out, and he actually gave it to me for Christmas. So very cool because for sure the one track's Indy, the one track's Milan. Not for sure the other track. I don't know, Columbus. Not sure if it's Columbus. Not sure if it's Pittsburgh. Those were the other tracks that year, right? Milan, Columbus. We started in Columbus. We went to Indy. We went to Milan. We went to Pittsburgh, and then we went back to Columbus. So those were the 4 tracks that 2010 year. But that car, because of when I got it, the condition it was in, and then as we started to get everything together, and one thing led to another, it seemed like nothing with that car ever went right. And so it went from that, and obviously it wasn't called the Indian Burial Ground car until closer to the end. But 2008, my first drag. 2008, I got it. 2007, 2008, somewhere in there. 2010 was the first drag week with it. Obviously, it stopped 50 miles. Well, when I talk about 2011 with that car, I did that. I used that car in 2011. So, kind of story there is in 2011. That was a used motor. It was a dragster motor from actually the UK that Steve had got on trade for something else. Got that, had that refurbed, and did it as the Pro Charger motor as covered it before. So 2011, I was ready to start something different. Actually, from the motor standpoint, was doing something different. The issue is, which that motor, which actually ends up being the mule motor, in that motor worked itself all the way down. That motor went from being built for that car to being the original motor in 1.0 to, after it had been rebuilt enough times, worked its way through to 1.0, got a new block and new heads, and it was the mule motor in 2.0 while we waited for the first billet motor to be done for 2.0, which I still have that block, which I'll show you. That's actually a coffee table at the garage. But so basically, back Indian Burial Ground car. So that went in 2011, was building a new motor, which we were not going to use until 2012. Actually knew the motor was going to have more horsepower than any bare-ground car could handle. But looked at it as a means to an end that would actually overbuild the motor, get everything dialed in, then build a new car. It was kind of the method to the madness, as I recall. So the 540 was still in, was rebuilt, and then it was back in the Indian bare-ground car. Actually driving down the street, just a test drive with it after doing some stuff with it. I can't remember exactly, but went to drive around the block, and it was actually a block from my shop here. All of a sudden, locked up. So brought it back here to the shop, got the engine out of it. This was a month before drag week, so in today's standards, that's plenty of time, like way more time than we need, because it seems like we do things in weeks. But either way, it was a month before drag week. It was a month before drag week. Took that motor to Steve and looked at it, and we were real close. It had spun. Trying to think what it had done. It had pushed the thrust bearing. So it had pushed out the thrust bearing in it, and the 615 was almost done at that time, even though we weren't planning to run that till drag week. So basically talked to Steve and said, hey, well, what do we do? Which one's closer? Well, we made the horrible decision to finish the 615, put the 615 in Indian bare-ground car, and take that to drag week. So by the time we got it in, different header set up, still with just the F2 on it, and said, oh, everything will be fine. Cooling system was fine. Everything was fine last year, so it'll all be fine with the new motor. Well, basically what happened is we got that together, got the headers built, and everything was done. It was actually Ron Weasley over in the Milwaukee area, which same time I saw the Talladega for the first time. So if you're an avid watcher and you've watched all the videos, then you can kind of start to piece all this stuff together and how this stuff comes together. But either way, we get that together in time to basically drive it around the block and load it in the trailer. So now it's got the 615 in it. Used to be a 540, still on the F2, way more power. Put it in there, and we had, and I think we started in 2011. It started in Oklahoma. So got everything out to Oklahoma. We're thinking everything's great because now we got more power. Everything's all good. Well, go to the track, and car doesn't perform well. But whatever, that was beside the point. But then as soon as we start to go on the road with it, it starts overheating. So now we were fighting overheating issues. We also fought charging issues that year, like the stuff that I talked to you last week about, that is the most important things to get figured out before you go. Don't worry about how fast you go. Worry about, can you keep the batteries charged? Can you run all the accessories that you have? And can you keep the engine cool? So I obviously learned my lessons. Back then was the beginning of them. I still learn lots of lessons today. But either way, that car, we made it, like we fought all kinds of cooling issues. Basically, as I recall, it was overheating all the time. We kept thinking that, hey, we just got an air bubble in it, so we kept trying to bleed out the radiator. So really just wasn't enough radiator for that setup at the time, and the way we were doing it. And then charging was semi-okay. That wasn't as horrible concern. I screwed up charging a lot worse in 2012, the first year with 1.0, but different video once we get to that. But either way, fought cooling issues all week. Pass-through downpour, actually, yep, Texas was one of the ones in there. So with that car as well, going through the traps at the quarter at, I don't know, 880 or something. shattered the back quarter windows. That car had an all glass deal. So that, along with all the normal issues, the cooling issues, the pushing the thrust bearing a month before, we walked an axle out actually in Oklahoma, actually had to weld. We were driving from, wasn't in Oklahoma, it was on the way to Kansas. Driving to Kansas, and that was probably that'd be the first day, and the tires started rubbing on the wheel well. Couldn't figure out why, and or actually no, it kept rubbing. We were rubbing the caliper. So pull over, farm, side of the road. Farmer helps us and actually gets us to a mill. Well, because we believe that that just the brakes are too tight on the rim. So we go, we mill out the brake caliper, and in the middle of the night, as always. But we get that done, get that together. We go make it to the track the next day, and we look at everything again, and we realize that now the wheel's rubbing on the quarter panel. Well, long story short, which took us too long to figure out, but is we were walking the axle out off the wedding ring, so the wedding ring wasn't holding the axle in place. So when we leave Kansas, I still have the picture in my mind, like getting back actually from taking the axle, finding a welding shop. That's where we also found a press behind an old service station that everybody just used as a community press. But we were able to press the wedding ring on, raced it that day with pressing the wedding ring on, and went down the track and pushed it out again. So then after we'd already had our pass turned in for the day, we tore it out. We found a guy that would weld it. So we took the axle with the wedding ring, took it to the guy. He actually welded the wedding ring on so that it wouldn't walk out anymore. No, it's not the right way to fix things, but it's drag week, so you kind of do what you got to do. And so then we got it together, and then it was fine the rest of the week, other than the overheating issue. But to kind of condense the story with that year was, obviously I wasn't in contention for anything, just trying to finish. It was overheating, running into all kinds of problems, but made it to the last day, and the last day it got rained out. Well, when it got rained out, I was in the staging lanes getting ready to run, and they called the race. It was rained out. I go to start it to drive it back to the pits. It won't start. It was dead. We ended up having to tow it. We could not get it started. I can't remember what the culprit ended up being, but so I finished drag week in 2011, so that was my first year complete. In 2010, first year, broke 50 miles from the end. 2011 actually finished, only because we got rained out. If they would have ran that last one and I was in the staging lanes, couldn't start it, I probably would have been out. Wouldn't been able to fix it in time to finish drag week. So 2011 finished, but that was kind of the aura of that Indian Burial Ground car. That's also, as we'll get into in future stuff, because I mean, I know I'm long-winded and all this, and I know that I jump around a lot on it, but this is kind of unrehearsed stuff, so therefore I just talk about what I talk about, and as I remember the stuff, and I don't always remember it in the right order. But hopefully you like the talks with Tom. It seems like a lot of people do. Basically I just give you honest truth and background, and talk to you about experience and what happened and whatever, life lessons. But please subscribe to the channel. Please hit the notification icon so that when a new video goes up, and also tell me the stuff you want to hear. I mean, I'm only following up on the Indian Burial Ground car because of all the people talking about it and asking questions about it. Oh, the other thing, where is that car? There was I showed you the picture that had all 3 cars in it, 1, 2, and the Indian Burial Ground car. That car actually was bought and shipped to Israel. So big mistake on my part, like actually getting rid of the car, but actually the engine wasn't in it. It wasn't all the way assembled at the time. Steve had a customer that had an engine that they bought. They were looking for a car to put it in, and it kind of worked out that car went together. Crazy story with that whole thing. That car went together. It actually still was at Steve's shop. When that picture with the 3 was taken, it technically wasn't my car any longer, because it was back together, ready. It was basically waiting on the container to ship it to Israel when those pictures were taken. It went to Israel, and actually the guy, once it got to Israel, he did get to drive it, but he passed away shortly after. I ran into a guy at PRI a few years back that talked to me about that car, and he was a friend of the guy, and I gave him my name and everything. He was going to possibly hook me up that the family that was thinking about getting rid of the car. And I mean, obviously, I mean, I don't need a car, but I mean, I would love to have that car back. Like when I look at the pictures that I showed you today, and I remember those times, like I definitely wish I still had that car, even if it seemed like the thing was cursed. But I think it was more us that was cursed, and it took us a long time to learn what we need to know to be able to get cars to survive and do this stuff. And that's why, like last week, I mean, like I said, it's a thing of figuring out the basics and then worrying about going fast. So if you try and go fast before you figure out the basics, then you chase your tail for quite a while. So thanks for watching, guys.